currently in a creative leadership capacity. That's awesome. There are other people that you guys have probably never heard of unless you're on Twitter and you follow a bunch of Bungie devs. So like Kevin is one of the people that was working on it. He was like one of the first people to work on it. And I love talking to him about it. I worked directly with him on a couple things in Destiny. So I would chat with him about it. I didn't actually go to any of the play tests because it was very, 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 very early days, like really early. Tony, I think YouTube might be up now. I just got a notification on email.
Yeah, I got it fixed.
Okay, sweet. What the hell? Okay, I'm gonna go click on this. All right, sweet. Okay, got that pulled up. So yeah, I want to talk about Marathon, but let's do this. Let's look at some news real quick. Just a warning for you guys: if you're seeing any Witcher 4 beta test invites, that's a scam. Apparently, don't accept them. Don't get into it. It's not officially going out at all. So CDPR warned people. The way Lars is talking about Marathon gets you the most excited, TBH. I feel that, Tom. That's good. So yeah, be careful about Witcher 4 beta. Shit ain't real. Let's see. There's Collector's Edition, Doom Dark Ages, Xbox controller, Elite controller, console wrap, stuff like that. I don't know if that's gonna be worth it. We've got Oblivion suddenly coming with Unreal 5. Yep. It's going to get like the Ninja Gaiden Black treatment, I think. Let's see. What else did we have, Tony? Because we talked a little bit about Oblivion last week, and Adder was saying he's waiting for it to be playable on his fridge before he picks it up. Anime, you're hyped for Oblivion? I don't know how to feel about that, man. I mean, like, if you're hyped for it, it's all good. Like, you should, be happy.
Like Elder Scrolls games are kind of like Zelda games, where there's like the one that came out at like the right time in your life is the one that you like the best. Because I still probably like Morrowind the best, but I know a lot of people fall into the Oblivion camp. And then there's like people who like never picked up a video game controller before Skyrim came out, and then like decided they were gamers because they played Skyrim.
Yeah, you're right, Brightside. I mean, nostalgia is a really powerful motivator. Nostalgia is something that we use as game designers 100%. It is very much leveraged. It's very much intentional. Figuring out how to capture nostalgia, get players to play a game because of nostalgia, or elicit emotions out of a player because of nostalgia. That's all very, very real shit. Very important, very focused on. I think you said he doesn't like any of the other Skyrims. Yeah, man, I don't like any of the Skyrims. But yeah, I personally am like kind of a Bethesda Games disliker. I've always tried to get into them, but I don't know. They just don't stick.
They have just continued to like dumb their games down.
Yep.
Like iteration over iteration. And again, like that's kind of one of the reasons I think Morrowind is superior, is just because it has like a lot more depth and systems and like crazy, immersive sim type stuff that you can do that just like continues being removed. And I know Oblivion definitely has a lot of that still. So it's probably, Skyrim, a lot of it is gone. And then you get to like Fallout 4, which came out after Skyrim. And that's where you're like, have your pre-made conversation selections that everybody started complaining about, and that game just has never really reached the status of the other ones.
Yeah, I think Skyrim. Okay, so if I look at the Elder Scrolls games, I think Skyrim is probably the best one in terms of quality, a crafted experience that is good, well made, stuff like that. However, I've definitely played the most of Morrowind. So I don't know. And I wouldn't say that Morrowind made me like those games. If anything, I played enough Morrowind to be like, I don't really want to play these games anymore. It's definitely nostalgia for me. I was 11 when it came out and played it on 360. Yeah, totally. It knocks 16 times the details. Yeah, exactly, dude.
I remember in Morrowind, like Morrowind's one of the first games I played where like you leveled stuff up by doing it instead of just by like giving it experience points or something. And
Very
one of the
cool.
things you could do is athletics, which would make you jump higher. And the way to level it up was to jump. And so when you played Morrowind, you would just run around and spam the jump button as fast as you can 100% of the time. And then after, 20 or 30 hours of that, you could jump like 12 feet in the air every time you did it, and you would jump around like the Hulk. And it was really fun.
Nox says Morrowind fighting mud crabs outside the town so you don't get one shot, then jumping around like a dumbass so you can jump over mountains. Yes,
exactly.
dude, that was good shit. We all did that. That was what I thought was cool about Morrowind.
It had like spell systems that like weren't particularly well thought out, so that you could like effectively do things to make the spells last forever, or like stack on top of each other infinitely so that you could fly and be invincible and all sorts of stuff. It was really fun, and a lot of that was gone by Oblivion, which like you could argue they fixed, but and then in Skyrim you can do nothing even close to that.
I have to say the thing that made me wash out of Morrowind was I accidentally became a vampire, and then I was just like, oh no, what have I done to my game? And I like couldn't complete certain quests anymore because I was a fucking vampire, and people were mad about that.
And that's another one. Like, so you can get so deep into the game, and then like you can become a vampire, and like you actually can't go out during the day, and you have to drink blood.
Yep.
And you're like, they actually went this far as to implement all of these things. And I think there was like a werewolf system too, and all sorts of stuff like that. Like, it's crazy.
I became Cardi in Morrowind. Yes, 100%. Tamagi says, had to go at Daggerfall recently. Now that game is brutal. Yeah, I've heard the same thing. I never played Daggerfall, but I know that it's famously very, very difficult. Not necessarily because it was made well, so the challenge felt balanced. It was just really punishing. If you fucked up, like you needed to save scum a lot in that game. Yeah, it turned into a vampire and the whole town hunts you. Yeah, I literally I turned into a vampire, like walked outside and people were like, abomination, and they like fucking came after me. I was like, what the fuck is going on? So it like ruined the game.
Like FromSoft fantasy games of that era, like Kingsfield.
I don't think so. I back then I was playing Armored Core, so that was my first experience with FromSoft stuff.
That kind of made me wonder, because like it seemed like you probably would have known about FromSoft more than a lot of people, and I definitely had never heard of like Kingsfield or any of those old games of theirs until long after Dark Souls 3. So
I was a lot more into sci-fi at the time, and so I'd always go for like giant robots and anime type shit, and space guns and whatnot. I do like fantasy stuff too, but like I feel like fantasy games weren't that great back then. Like that's probably why I like Warcraft so much, because I just thought it was one of the coolest like fantasy universes. Would watch you guys play Lunacid? I don't know what that game is. Tommy Gee says systems are crazy. Just the magic crafting alone is tough to get right. Yeah, totally. So
it's like a Kingsfield style dungeon crawler that it looks like Josh owns.
Okay, sweet. Did we have any other news? We got the thing on Dune Awakening. So the Dune game is like what, delayed? I didn't read that whole thing.
That's kind of what it was sounding like.
Yeah, it seems like they're concerned about the game's reception, so they're doing an open beta, or closed beta rather, and then delaying it, and they're going to try to pivot and make it better. I mean, I don't know.
They're just moving it to June 10th, but it doesn't say on here what the original release date was, but it sounds like it's getting delayed a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And we were talking about this. I believe there's a Dune RTS that maybe already came out, and then this one is a Dune survival game that looked interesting, but like a survival game. I don't know. $6.99 Doom package that has a bunch of knickknacks, and you can actually play Doom on the box lid. What?
That's weird.
That's crazy. This is for Doom Dark Ages.
I don't think you need that. That's too much, I think. But I don't know. I guess it could be cool if you're really into that shit. This probably ties back into the thing I was saying, where like, don't buy collector's editions unless they have actual cool stuff. This guy, BT back here.
The highest one I see on the website is 199.
Yeah, Omni, if you got a link, drop it in the Discord.
Yeah, I'll pull it up. I want to see it.
Let's see. What else do we have? Okay, so we definitely want to talk about Marathon. We're probably going to spend a lot of time talking about Marathon. Blueprints is the other thing that we wanted to talk about. Blueprints is an indie game that just dropped last week, and it's making a lot of rounds on the old live stream social media channels. Lots of streamers are playing it. People are really excited about it. They're saying it's an incredible game. I don't think it's the type of game I would typically play, but we were talking about playing that tomorrow and taking a look at it and kind of doing like a game design talk about it. So that's probably what we're going to do for tomorrow's stream. If you guys are interested in seeing that, we'll be checking out Blueprints. I haven't really been into survival games, but the RuneScape survival game is looking really cool. Is that Dragon Wilds, Tom McGee?
It's got to be.
It's got to be, yeah. We weren't sure because we're not like really RuneScape people, so I don't know anything about it. But I know that OG RuneScape has like a very thriving, like active community. Like people are still playing that shit, which is cool. I think that's great. What else do we have?
Okay, Omni got me the link here. Let's see.
Yeah, the $666 makes a lot more sense.
And it's not Dark Ages. It looks like it's Doom and Doom 2 Collector's Edition reprint.
Interesting. What's new about the
Limited Run Games, that company that like remakes classic games on like actual cartridges and discs and stuff. Yeah.
Brightside wants to know more about the RuneScape survival game. We don't know anything about it. So Tom, if you know stuff,
let me I'll pull up the link we have at least.
Not Tom's Hardware, Tom McGee, but I'm just playing. But yeah,
here's the tweet that they put out.
Brightside says he tried watching stuff about it, but every single person he watched was just chopping wood. So that sounds like a survival game.
I think that's a pretty classic RuneScape right there. RuneScape kind of works like Morrowind, like we were talking about, where every skill is leveled up by using that skill. And so I do know a lot of the gameplay is like, if you want to be good at chopping wood, you have to chop wood to level 100, and that takes quite a while. I don't know what the actual time limit is, but it's probably like several hours, maybe tens of hours.
Tom McGee says
Shadow dropped this game basically like right after they announced it.
Tom McGee says it's very faithful to the old school RuneScape nerds. I can attest, but I've yet to play it. Okay, cool. But you're definitely interested and you're going to check it out? Because if you do, we want to hear about it. We want like your thoughts on it. We find that those are like really compelling conversations. One of our community members, who's a huge supporter of the channel, Anna Lyris, she plays a lot of cozy games. And it's been cool talking to her about that because those are not the kind of games that I typically play. And one of the things that we do is if you are a big supporter of the channel, we'll play a game that you guys want to see us play on a Thursday stream and talk about it and go through it. So Tiny Glade was one of those that we did for Anna. And we tried to remake a Bloodborne, like castle. So yeah, that was fun.
I saw some people describing this as Valheim RuneScape. Like, because it is like, it's not an MMO. RuneScape was an MMO. This is more like, I think, like session-based survival game.
Interesting. Okay.
Where you go, it says 1 to 4 players, and I would imagine the gameplay loop itself within that is pretty RuneScape faithful from what people are saying. But
Tom McGee, since you're a Destiny fan, I'm wearing my Trevor shirt from 0 Hour. We made like 30 of these, I think. So there's very few of these. But I got my unofficial Trevor shirt on today, since we're going to be talking about Marathon and Bungie stuff. Let's see. What's this other thing? We got Valve concept artist who's in the room where they made Half-Life 3. Yep. The more Half-Life 3 rumors persist.
It's more just a statement that like it existed at some point and they saw it with their own eyes. And with Valve, unless it comes out, it doesn't exist because they'll probably just throw it away. But
Yeah, that's also like a crazy thing to do. Like that person's probably out of the industry at this point. Like, because you can't say that shit if you like worked at Valve. Like, you're either risking a lawsuit or so like they waited until whatever NDA they had expired or some shit like that to say it. Because like you can't do that.
And it's not even new information either. There's been plenty of statements from lots of people that have worked there, including Gabe himself, I'm pretty sure, that have just been like, you know, they've made 3 or 4 versions of Half-Life 3 at this point and not put them out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anime, like they talked about it pretty openly in that video about how they've tried to make it a few times.
I definitely worked with people at Bungie who worked at Valve, and they were like, the reason I stopped working there is because I worked there for several years, worked on multiple projects. They will never see the light of day, and I'm tired of working on shit that isn't going to ship. So they went and worked at a different studio, went to work at Bungie and make stuff that was actually going to release. The whole Borealis ship was shown. Bro, I don't even know. If you want to share
like
that,
a 3D model or concept art or something, but that ship exists in Portal 2, so like it's in a game.
Tom McGee says it totally is Valheim RuneScape. Has very RuneScape skilling and extends the magic as a practical tool. Fire spells speed up forge crafting, and that's very RuneScape. Cool. Okay, cool, nice. Should we let's hop into Marathon? Start talking about that. We've got a lot to discuss.
What do you want to start with?
I think we play the live action cinematic trailer because they did a whole ass thing on Saturday. It's like 2 hours long. I don't want to try to break all that down. There's a lot in there, so I think if we go that route, like there's just too much to talk about. LFQ, yo, thank you.
Now so yeah, I'll play this cinematic trailer, and then what I can do is I can just they put up like 16 minutes of gameplay, so I'll just let that play while you're talking then after that.
Okay, cool.
Yep. I'm gonna get logged into YouTube here so we don't get ads this whole time.
Yeah, no worries, man. LFQ, hope you're doing good. Great to see you around. Thank you for the resub. You're amazing as always. We're just going over like news and stuff. Pop the Pinkman on. Love that studio. Wait, what's the Pinkman? I'm not following you. I'm sorry. Love that robot fame. Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. The cinematic live action thing. Yeah. I really liked it. I thought it was very cool. Is it live action? It seemed like it was live action, but it might be entirely CG. I actually don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's entirely CG.
It looks very cool.
I'm sure it's, you know, mocapped and everything, but
yeah. So I started off and then like changed subjects really quickly, but I think so if you have a scale of 1 to 10, I had really positive vibes about Marathon just because of the people I knew working on it and like the passion, and like they were really into Escape from Tarkov at the time. Tarkov was like pretty new at this point. It had only been out for like 2 years. They were playing a lot of that, and they were like, hey, can we make, you know, our own version of Tarkov that's better in like Destiny tools and stuff like that, which I thought was really fucking cool. Yo, Turning Cog. At Tony, why is landscape with water plugin got to be a pain in the ass? Dude, I think you could like substitute that for.
I don't even know like specifically what you're talking about, but I can think of like 5 different examples of what you might be talking about. So yeah, I feel you, man, big time.
LFQ says, I'm hoping the rumors of a new Valve VR headset is correct. Dude, we've been talking about that for like literally a year.
LFQ with the tier 2 as well. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was saying thank you so much to LFQ for all that. Hope you dudes are well. Yeah, man, we're doing great. Yeah, let's get into this trailer. I'll stop yapping for a little bit and let's see where this goes.
And yeah, Turning Cog, I've been doing a lot of landscape stuff, so I feel you. We'll probably be getting into that later after Marathon. Let me pause the music here. do that.
No, it's good. It's good info, Tommy Gee. Thank you.
The cloth sim on these guys is just so beautiful.
Those floppy jackets. We got worms. Tony, can you pause it real quick? Okay, I just wanted to say the use of Shelley's Ozymandias here really just I don't think it fucking fits. I kind of see what they're going for, but I just what I'm talking about is the voiceover here. It's a famous, it was a sonnet, I think. And I don't know, it was a poem written in like the early 1800s. I think it's a really weird application of this.
Excuse me, it was an eclogue. We learned this yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, that was the title of the poetry compilation. Was like, you know, Harriet and Rudolph and eclogue about fucking whatever. It's anyway. I digress. Yeah. So I think it's weird to put this in here because I don't, it's like, it's just not, it like kind of fits because obviously like some disaster happened and civilization collapsed and that's kind of what they're going for. But it's strange. I don't think it fits well. Anyway, let's keep going.
I mean, it feels just like what it is, right? Like $1 trillion. Like $1 trillion.
Psychic genetics sent a reminder. Your share repayment is coming up. Pledged against your line of credit.
Yeah, I know. Mind if we skip the formalities this time? Got a big contract waiting down there, so.
Understood. Let's proceed with your grounding exercise.
Tony, I think you're echoing. All right, I think we're good there, Tony. We're just gonna get into credits at this point. Yeah, it's okay. So before Tony, go ahead and get ready with the gameplay, but don't hit play yet. So
Okay.
I just want to say that showed really fucking well. That was really exciting. That was awesome shit. It's oh, did I Nox? Did I like physically point to the pause button? I might have. Tony, will you? Anyway, so yeah, so that was awesome. That was really cool. That fits in line with all the other cinematic stuff that they've shown, which was just a single trailer, a year ago or something like that, right? Very cool stuff. Very specific stylized art. Yes, I did. Jamie, pull that up. Tony, will you pull it up?
We described how we were going to do this early on as exactly that, so that's good.
It's working. We're doing it. Yeah. So I thought this was gorgeous. I thought it was wonderful. Really good stuff. Classic big Bungie, like amazing art. Nothing looks like Marathon that exists out there. And I think that's really good. When you look at the gameplay, it doesn't quite match the feel of those cinematics, which made me a little worried. So if I was talking about a scale of 1 to 10, I was sort of near a 3 because I was excited, but I'm skeptical. I worked at Bungie, so there are good things and bad things. You guys have seen a lot of the scandals that have happened with Bungie over the last year and a half, 2 years. Not good stuff coming out of, how the studio functions, what the culture's like, all of that. I don't want to get too deep in there, but that gave me some skepticism. After watching this reveal and hearing the team talk about it and what they were making, I would say I moved from a 3 to a 5. I'm still highly skeptical. I really want to play the alpha, see what the game is like. So I'm working on that, and we hopefully will have some good coverage that we can talk about on stream and go over this with you guys. Hopefully I can get some, some good information that I can share with you guys about this game, just to get you a better idea of what it's like. If you can't get into the alpha yourself, play it, whatever, and experience it. So
I'd imagine we'll be able to stream it, right?
I think so. I'll have to figure that out when we get there. But I think that they've lifted the embargo, because as soon as they did the announcement, a bunch of streamers that they invited got to share all of their content that they'd been building up, waiting for this embargo to release. So it's interesting. So what this game is, it's set in the Marathon universe. There are loose ties to the previous Marathon games. This is far in the future, after the events of Marathon. I want to say that at the beginning of that short where we saw like the dude explode into the colorful smoke, that's probably the result of, as Tom McGee was saying, some Durandal type stuff. Marathon Durandal was like a part of, that was like core to the lore of Marathon. I don't know enough about it. I was never really a Marathon player myself. So if you guys want to share a little bit and help us know what that is, that's cool. I do know that the official commentary from the team talking about the narrative for the game and how it all comes together is that they're still working on it, and they're still going to connect those narrative threads. But this game should not have cinematics and exposition in the way that some of the other story-driven games that Bungie's made. They've said that they want this to be more emergent gameplay, like found lore. So as you're discovering items that you're picking up and looking at, there's like going to be interesting lore bits that kind of flesh out the world more environmental storytelling. I think that's really good. I think they need to go in that direction, because that wouldn't fit well with this game. So I'm hearing a lot of things from them that make sense to me. All of it is going to depend on how they execute. So as I've watched a lot of this footage and what I've looked at for Marathon, one thing I noticed that is dissonant with the cinematic stuff they've shown, if you're looking at this, everything is toned blue. Everything's really cool, temperature wise, in the color palette. And I was realizing that's why it has a weird feel to it when you watch gameplay. And I think it's
kind of desaturated too. Like, not super high contrast.
The cool color choices. So if you think about like moods and how people react to color, all of these cool tones bring your mood down, and that doesn't necessarily fit well with an action game. You need some kind of like bright popping colors and other stuff to kind of get moods up, right? So maybe that's why people have been reacting somewhat negatively. This is an extraction shooter. So the way it'll work is you go in with a squad of homies and you go into this PvPvE environment. So similar to Tarkov, you are hunting for things, fighting dangerous, AI PvE encounters, but then there's also other players. And it's sort of the same mentality of like anything you take out with you from a run, you get to keep, and you can add to your kit and all that. So that's really compelling. I have seen some people comment that that's weird when you consider Bungie's current audience in Destiny, and how that game is about collecting things and sort of like building up this hoard of items that you've got over your, decade of experience playing Destiny. I hear that. However, I think that this is a smart choice, and Bungie needs to court a new audience, because I think the Destiny audience has fallen off. I can't really substantiate that with anything. I'm sure we could go look at Steam charts and see those numbers just on a steady decline. But the direction of the game has gone in a way that I'm not playing Destiny anymore. It used to be one of my favorite games. I haven't played Destiny since Witch Queen. I think the last time I played was we did, a ride-along interview with Mikowski about the return of the Whisper in 0 Hour, which I think became paid dungeons. I very strongly was against that. When I made the Whisper in 0 Hour, they were free content on purpose. It was supposed to be thank you people for playing. Destiny still has big secrets. They're all hidden in plain sight. That was the vibe. And that slowly turned into monetizing dungeons. You have to buy a dungeon pass. I don't agree with that. I don't like how any of that stuff went. I don't think it was great. So that all of that being said, Marathon is courting an entirely different audience. That's a really good thing for Bungie. They can't lean on the Destiny audience. They need to capture a new audience because the Destiny audience is dwindling and shrinking, and I think people are just not here for it anymore. So some of the other people have said this doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? As someone who makes games, it makes a lot of sense to me, and I think it's a smart choice. Of course, it's risky, but it's what they need to do. Bungie's in kind of a dangerous position right now. The studio's future is hanging on Marathon. Destiny's clearly not going to keep them afloat. They were just acquired by Sony last year for like 3.6, over $3 billion, like about $3.5 billion. So this is a really important game for the future of the studio. And I think we're going to look at either the full collapse of Bungie and like off in the sunset they go, or they'll be returning to form, sort of rising from the ashes a little bit, right? And I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom about Bungie, but the news about Bungie and the reception in the wider gaming audience for Bungie's stuff has been very negative or lukewarm for a couple of years now. So they need this. I think it's the right choice. I think they're going in the right direction. All that remains to be seen is if the game is actually good and compelling to play. A lot of the early impressions are mixed. Some people say it's good. It might be that they were paid to say it's good. We don't know that. I can't confirm any of those things. But I do know that it's common practice for AAA studios, especially if they're working with content creators and streamers, to say, you can cover this game, but there are certain things you cannot say. And the reason why they do that is because there can be a really, really negative impact on sales of the game if a very popular content creator says negative shit about it. So it sucks because you, as a consumer, you watch your favorite streamer and you're like, oh, this is great. This is an honest take. Most of the time, it's not an honest take, especially if it's sponsored. It can't be, because that can really, really hurt the game. So modern AAA, just so you guys are aware, if there's a featured segment or it's sponsored or someone got this early look, it's usually very carefully controlled about the messaging because it's a major advertising beat. So just be aware of that as you're looking at stuff around this game. There are a couple people, I think it was SkillUp, that did some of the more honest takes. And while I agree with some of the things SkillUp was saying, he was also one of the people that was talking about how it doesn't make sense Bungie's courting a new audience. I think he doesn't get it there, and that's okay. He doesn't make games. I think it's a smart decision. I think they need to do this. They need a new audience. The future of the studio depends on it. So Marathon is still 6 months away. We're looking at September as like a launch date that may or may not stick. If the closed alpha goes poorly for reception, and what I mean by poorly is if people have negative reactions to it and they're not really fucking with it, Bungie's got a little bit of time to pivot. The amount of changes you can make in 6 months are really small. I'm seeing other people say, there's hundreds of people working on it. There's a team of about 300. 6 months is a lot of time for 300 people to do that. I'm going to say the reality of it is when you're working at this scale with these budgets, this game is done.
It's going to look like it looks in this video right now.
Yeah, you can't move that quickly. When you have such a large team, you have to be really careful about how you spend money. Otherwise, the game doesn't release. They've made it worse, and the whole studio collapses. Everyone loses their jobs, and that's it. And it's RIP. So we got to wait and see. That being said, that's why I'm at like a 5 on the scale. I really need to play it. As we're looking at this gameplay, you see a lot of notes of Destiny, of Halo, the legacy of Bungie. I don't think that's a bad thing. If they lean on it and they do it well, where it's not just straight lifted out of those other games and placed in this game, that's really positive. If it gives you that feel, that's that nostalgia we were talking about earlier in the stream. If it hits the nostalgia, but it's slightly new and different, or new and different enough, that's a really positive thing. So that's kind of my take on it. Like I said, I'm very interested in playing the alpha, because as I watch this, I don't know how it feels. I need to play the game to really get a sense for how it feels. Similar to how we've been showing VR games on stream lately, and they don't translate well to flat. You can't get a good sense of game feel from just watching someone else play. So that's where I'm at. I want to play it. I want to check it out. I'm excited, very cautiously optimistic, but I think this could be a return to form for Bungie if it's done right. I do have, I have a bunch of friends that I know that are working on it. People I've worked with. I've been talking to them a little bit about it. So that's really cool. And I'm excited to, navigate that space and figure out what I can talk to you guys about, and, hopefully share a little bit of insider information. Who knows what I can or can't share, but I'll keep you guys, up to date as we get to that space. But, stick with us, especially if you're into looking at marathon things, and we'll try to give you some good insights, with also the added benefit of okay, so if you think about it this way, and if you've watched the announcement thing, looking at what Lars was in charge of activities and like gameplay system structure for like why players are going and doing a thing, what types of things they're doing. I work directly with Lars doing those kinds of things. So I have a lot of confidence in Lars's ability to execute on that. Hopefully he's got a really good team of people that support that. Very cool. I'm very excited to check out the combatants in this. And what I mean are like the PvE AI enemies. All the early impressions said that they're very interesting. They're really cool to fight. They have some really interesting gameplay components to them. So seeing where all of that goes is going to be really cool. I'm checking out chat, and I see you guys talking about money, and that is my really big worry. So since Adder's talking about $40 plus MTX is the new feature, if Nintendo and Rockstar are pushing for $80, the new future, sorry. This is where I'm concerned. This game is competing with other games that are free to play. It's a brand new IP, even though it's based on Marathon. This is a new IP. You have to consider it as such. It's not as established. Marathon's like 20 something years old. So think about all of that. It could be, there's a lot of potential here. So there's a lot we don't know, a lot of potential. I think the cost is potentially going to hurt it. And all the things that I was saying about Destiny. Then we go over to Joe Ziegler, who's the creative director for the game. So this I think is interesting. I know that the old creative director, Chris Barrett, he's the one responsible for the art style. That's what we're seeing here. Chris Barrett had a very unceremonious exit from Bungie. He was replaced by Joe Ziegler. Joe Ziegler was the guy who did Valorant. So that's great. That's a good game. Whatever, personal opinions are aside, that is a quality game, well thought out, well executed. There's hope there. If Joe brings his acumen here, helps usher Marathon into a good space, we could have some really compelling gameplay. Where I have issues with the monetization, Joe Ziegler on the Skill Up podcast, what's that shit called, Tony?
Friends per second.
Yeah, friends per second. So they were asking about monetization, and he gave this very PR focused marketing response where he was like, we gotta figure this out, blah blah blah, whatever. And then he ended with like, everyone has a different idea of what the right price is for them. I'm just gonna, throw a little shade here and say that that's a fucking stupid answer. I think the right answer is we need to cost the game enough for the studio to stay in business, and we need to make a good value proposition to the customer to say it's worth this much, and people are like, this game is really good, I'm gonna buy it for that amount. That's the correct answer. He should have said that shit. Instead, what he did was sort of push the onus onto the player and be like, well, if $40 is too much for you, this game's not for you. That's not going to sell.
And it kind of seems like they're trying to make the argument that like a player who pays $40 for the game is like going to have some sort of like investment to it that somebody who didn't pay for it wouldn't, and like therefore the player base is going to be like higher quality and is going to provide a better experience for the other players. And like maybe that's true. I don't know. Maybe not, but that seems like maybe that's some form of the argument that they're trying to make. And I don't know.
I just saw Adder saying it's interesting that you use this flat fog to curate LOD visuals as well as limit sniping. It does not look good.
The fog is like so dialed up compared to everything that we've seen. I feel like that's like a big problem with the
it hurts the look of the game
with it. But they're also showing like the swamp level, so maybe they're not all like that. But it's interesting that they chose the swamp level with the super heavy fog for the demo. Could be because maybe the visuals are still getting figured out or something, and it hides it a little better. But
bright side, keep watching and you'll see the gameplay. There's kind of this atmospheric blue fog everywhere. That's where I was talking about color temperature early on, and that is where I see a disconnect between
just like you can't even like see the trees anymore. Everything just kind of fades out into gray, like detailless blobs in the distance. And if you like think back to the trailer we were just watching a minute ago, everything was so vivid and clear and high contrast. And,
high contrast.
It's all like really dialed down and kind of hidden here by all of this fog and atmospherics and stuff.
Speaking to that point, I think that also hurts the highly stylized aesthetic they have, where they're juxtaposing these really clean, sharp design lines, a lot of right angles, simple shapes with organic shapes that have a lot of detail and nuance to them. That is being hurt by that fog and the color tone really badly. So
is there like some form of like cell shading happening on a technical level, do you guys think? Like sometimes when I look at the characters, especially, like they look cell shaded to me. It's interesting, like that game 13. I don't know if you remember that from like the GameCube PS2 era. It was like a first-person shooter that was cell shaded. This obviously has like way better art and detail than that, but there's just like some flatness to it. Yeah, there's also cell shading post-process. There you go. Exactly.
Hey, what's up, Marengo? The
trailers look crazy ray traced, and the gameplay looks like it's cell shaded. That is a great way of explaining it.
Yeah, dude. Also, thank you for coming through and chatting. A little bit about us. We're Fractal Grove. We're an independent game studio based in Colorado. My name is Vince. I've been working on games for like 15 years. I'm co-founder with Tony, who is down there. I worked at Bungie for 5 years. I worked on Destiny 2 from launch all the way through Shadowkeep and Witch Queen, something like that. Around that time. I did the Whisper in 0 hours. So behind me here is a replica, 3D printed replica of the Whisper sniper rifle that you got. But yeah, we're working on a game called Hyperskate in PC VR. I'm going to drop a link tree. So go check it out. See what we're working on. And please, the thing that helps us, the reason we do the stream is it helps fund the game studio. All of the proceeds from the stream go directly into the game studio, help us pay for tools, licenses, web server hosting, cloud storage, all kinds of shit like that. Amazing people in this community have been helping support that. You guys are covering our operations costs, which is really cool. But yeah, so what we do today is we try to talk about game development from a game designer's perspective. We show you how to work in Unreal. This is more of like an informative gaming culture thing. Whoa. And then tomorrow, holy shit, LFQ.
Bro.
Yo, thank you, bro. Is it your birthday again? Yo, yeah. Wow. Yo, thank you, brother. The GOAT, LFQ. So yeah, amazing people like LFQ supporting the studio. Yeah, fucking amazing. Thank you so much. But yeah, so that's our whole thing. we're working in Unreal 5. Yeah, that's the whole deal with us. And then tomorrow we do another stream for 2 hours, and that stream is more focused on like gameplay and like breaking down game design through a game that we're looking at. I think tomorrow we're going to do Blueprints because it's a new indie game that's getting a lot of positive buzz and attention. So I want to check it out, you know, blind playthrough, talk to you guys about it, talk about game design.
Anna's fighting back, dude.
Yo, Anna!
Oh my gosh, you guys are crazy.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much. That like, your guys' support just fucking energizes the shit out of us. Thank you so much. I want to catch up on chat. I wanted to see what you guys were saying.
Yeah, so Tom McGee was saying, I forgot where I read this, but someone who was recording the trailer gameplay for the official reveal was recording as far back as January, and if you look carefully, some of the clips in that look much more cel-shaded than the tester gameplay. So are you saying this is the tester gameplay?
Also, Adder said exactly. They put a lot of emphasis on shape language. Then they flattened it all with this fog. Exactly. They reduced that high contrast that makes the cinematics just pop really well. And it's not coming across in gameplay. And that, like, I'm really worried about that. So visually, I think there's a disconnect between the cinematic content and the gameplay content. I would love to see them make an adjustment there if they can. That would be really cool, just to get more of that feel back into the game. Again, we're only seeing this one map. There could be a completely different art style to the other maps. We don't know. They were saying they were going to ship with 4 maps. It sounds like, I'm a little skeptical about this too, because I don't know if it fits in an extraction shooter, but it sounds like their 4th map that no one knows about has like Destiny raid mechanics in it. And with the lack of proximity voice chat, which is something they said they won't do because that creates an incredibly toxic game environment, I firmly disagree with that. I think that's a silly take, and you should never index that way. You should always leave it up to the player to turn that shit off if they're bothered by it. Because having played Tarkov, I've pretty much only had positive experiences or really memorable, important gameplay moments interacting with proximity voice chat in Tarkov. It's only a win. I do not see it being negative. I don't know why they would choose to not do it. And I think it's a very silly choice. Here's my question. Why do we need another Apex or Fortnite? That's not the correct take. I don't think this is an Apex or a Fortnite. I think it's very different. I think that's the difficult part to tell just from watching gameplay. I've seen a lot of people say this looks like Apex. Maybe it's because I'm a game designer, but I don't see that connection. You guys are not alone. A lot of people have said that. I've seen many takes that this looks like Apex.
I feel like it probably feels like playing Apex from like watching it, like moment to moment, moving around, climbing up stuff. Kind of the sense that I get. I am the first person that's been telling Vince I think it looks like Apex, but
yeah, and you're not alone in that. I mean, Omni said it. There's a couple of other people in Discords that I'm a member in who I've just read their reactions, and they said the same thing. Looks like Apex. Remember, this is an extraction shooter. It has a completely different vibe. From what I understand and what Bungie has said, you can expect to maybe never see another player on some runs. Even though there's, I think, like 10 squads or something like that. So there's a lot of players in there.
Up to 18, I think it's 18 players.
Okay, there you go.
If there's 6 squads of 3, then that would be 6, but you can play solo. So it's probably 6 squad entry points or something if you're doing like Tarkov roles.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a decent chunk of players if the maps aren't really big. But even in Tarkov, that's actually a lot of players to deal with. And that kind of squares with the same level of players in a Tarkov game. So I think it will be okay. I think you're going to have a good, healthy mix of like seeing actual other players and not seeing actual other players.
I wanted to talk about that like persistent world thing that they were talking about that they ended up not doing. I got to find the quote. I think I sent it to you.
Illuminous said, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I got to find the link. So you got time.
Illuminous said one of the classes does a long ass slide, which is Apexy. I agree with that. However, that's one character. That's Glitch. And Glitch is probably the Apex archetype character, because Glitch has a lot of movement stuff, like a crazy sprint, a slide, all those things.
There's also like you can scan a room and see the people through the walls, and a guy has a shield, and people can get knocked, and there's like a UI indicator, and but this is the thing I was talking about, that the let's see who said this. Joe Ziegler was talking about this, but he said that they originally built the game around this living world server concept, but they scrapped it for a session-based structure, which is more like Tarkov and other extraction shooters, after running into complex design issues. The idea was that you're going to be able to drop in and out at any time, and it was just going to kind of be like a persistent level. But they just ran into, like, it sounds like balancing and like playtesting issues. So you spawn in, somebody kills you immediately because they can't really control keeping people apart from each other like they can if everybody starts at the same time. Can't ensure that you're in an area that hasn't been looted already. And it sounds like they gave up trying to solve it and just went with, the tried and true. But I thought that was an interesting statement, because I do remember them kind of making like vague statements about this early on and how it was going to be like this cool new living world concept. So too bad that they couldn't figure it out. But
that's a crazy design problem, honestly. And I think that was way too ambitious. So I'm glad that they pivoted away from it.
It'd have to be like a big like open world or something like that to even be close to facilitating something like that.
Well, yeah, and you'd have to be like, if someone spawns here, then you can't have players near, or if there are players near a spawn, don't spawn players there. So you'd have astronomically long wait times for matchmaking. You would have to spawn objects in front of players or near players so that they could get loot. There's a lot of design problems with that choice. So I get exactly why they didn't do it. Catching up on chat, Tommy says, this is tester gameplay. Absolutely true. Try to remember that the cinematic was produced out of house. I'm okay with that, but having been there, even though the cinematic is produced out of house, Bungie is very active in participation in making those third-party things. Bungie has its own cinematics team. Guaranteed they were directing that cinematic.
Oh, they have to sign off on every frame of it before they put it out.
100%. So Bungie chose how that looked. They approved everything. They were cool with it. That's the look they were going for. I can say that with a lot of confidence. That's probably what's going on. We got, Adder has a huge comment. Very good chance they had a hard drive full of gameplay clips from a full range of builds. Bingo. Yep. Art direction team was scrambling to find the final look of the game as they approached the game announcement and first showcase. Happens in every game. Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Then the trailer team gets a full range of styles, and they're very careful. Yeah, absolutely, yes. My take is very much the same as my Concord one. I think this looks fucking fantastic. People losing their minds. I'm the most correct on this, and everyone else is a nerd. Okay, so Tom, I'll say this. If you're getting negative reactions to a game that's not out yet, that's good. That means people care. If you get zero reaction and you do this huge marketing beat, that's really bad. So the fact that people have strong opinions is a really positive indicator of what this game's potential is. So this is a good thing. I know there's a lot of negativity out there, but there's also a lot of positivity. So I think the middle of the ground, we have to wait and see, get in there, play the game, decide for yourself. Don't judge it strictly based on other people's opinions. You really need to figure it out for yourself. But I feel this way about all games. I'm not just trying to glaze Marathon or Bungie. I mean, I think I'm excited. I have high hopes. I would love to see Bungie return to form. It'd be awesome.
I saw a lot of criticism about how like all of the marketing material focused on these like dead bodies with these blue blood and like how you're gonna die and how not dying will make you God, and like all the marketing was about dying and not dying and coming back to life and stuff. And then when they show the gameplay and somebody dies, they poof into a bag instantly, and there's no dead body ever.
Yeah, I think that's not good.
It's a very interesting.
I think that's
kind of irony to the whole thing.
Anime says, I don't see the Apex likeness. Apex is way quicker, IMO. That's exactly why I say I don't see the Apex likeness. I'm totally with that. Destiny, Apex, Starfield from gameplay. Maybe. I mean, that's the thing. Like, gameplay is really hard to tell from a video. You got to play it. Blackbird is very bloodhound. Totally true.
Escape will make me bag.
That's so good. 100%. Escape makes you bag, dude. Session based is by far the easiest way to structure gameplay scripting. Yep, wipe slate clean. Absolutely, yes. Session based is the correct decision. It's just a crazy design space to try to figure out a living map. We did similar at Bethesda and Activision with all the out of house cinematics, making sure the Chinese government approves their game first. Yep. Yep, and poof into a bag. Okay, cool. We got there. If I missed anyone, please. We got a shitload of messages while I was just bloviating about, video game things. If I missed anyone, please pop your message in again. I'll try to get to it and read it. We also got a ton of subs during that. You guys are fucking awesome. Thank you so much for that.
I do really like their Evangelion vector UI type shit that they got going on.
Yeah,
some of that stuff is very good. Whenever the scan goes out, it does this crazy triangle diagram thing. It looks really cool.
Yeah, I think the UI is really good. I like it. I think it's great. Yes, it's very reminiscent of what Bungie did with Destiny. Yes, that's very reminiscent of Halo. It's okay to lean on your legacy. There's a reason why these games have the styles that they have. They know what they're doing.
Nobody really complains that Elden Ring has Demon Souls animations in it.
Yep, it's good. It's a good thing. Wait and see. Play it yourself. It's entirely possible I get in and play the alpha and I'm like, bad news, guys. This game's not fun. I'm very worried about that. I don't want that to happen.
It looks like it's gonna be fun at least for a while. I worry about how does it stay fun for as long as Destiny was fun. I can't quite find that yet, or as long as Tarkov can be fun. But maybe it's in there and we just haven't seen it yet.
I do have to say, watching the gameplay here, the aim these players have is triggering my competitive FPS player in me very badly, because I'm like, holy shit, how are you missing those shots and you work on this game?
There's also mouse aim assist.
That's just me.
People are talking about.
I mean, anime, you say tester aim, but you were a tester and you're one of the best FPS players I've ever met. So there's no excuse for that shit, bro. You also know that there's some bad players.
Is mouse aim assist, and they're still playing this badly is kind of interesting.
Yep.
Is there Q and E left and right leaning? I don't think there is.
No, I don't think so.
It's just stuff like that is small, but it just it means that the developers thought about how the cover system works a little more than just did the bullet hit the wall or not and stuff, and that's probably clearly not here.
I agree with you, anime. Mouse assist I'm not into.
No.
But it does make some players feel better about how they play. And that's an important thing to consider in game design. I've said it before. One of the reasons why Destiny players get so loud and opinionated about PvP and think it's a competitive game is because the whole game is designed to make you feel like you are a god at FPS. That's the point of the game. So these, people playing it are like, dude, I'm so good. I could go play this other FPS and be way better at it. And then they go right back to Destiny because they suck. And they think there's something wrong with the other game. It's actually them. They're not good at shooters. They're not as good as they thought they were. And that's just a symptom of how Destiny plays. I don't think it's a good thing or a bad thing, especially if Destiny is more of a PvE focused game. It's good to make your players feel like gods. That whole concept of the power and the fantasy of being a space god, it ties into that really well. It's important. You need to have a little bit of that to make your players feel good. And if you do it with smoke and mirrors and they don't realize that they're not that good, perfect. That's great. So seems like it'd be an annoying feature to build. Are you talking about which feature, Adder? And then LFQ says, I understand that they can't have flick playstyle and gameplay teaser, but still at least have... Yeah, no, I'm with you, LFQ. If they had a couple really good players hit some nasty shots, I think it would be awesome. That would take the gameplay up a notch, right? That would sell the game a little more, I think. If Marathon leans on the same design pillar as Destiny to make every player feel like a god, I will not like it. I agree, Anime. I think this is the wrong venue. This is a hardcore genre. Very serious players are going to play it. If they get in there and they're not rewarded by being good players, that's going to feel really bad. So another point of skepticism I have is if this is it's leaning too hard towards casuals, I'm worried. I think it needs to be in a really good middle ground of bringing in new players, but also have a high enough skill ceiling for good players to be rewarded for their skill. Shots just go to the head area. Yep. Bullet magnetism.
What do you think about the extraction mechanic?
Just overall in games?
No, just game? Like the way they do it here, because every iteration of it I've seen is exactly what they're showing in this trailer, which is like you stand in the circle under this beam and like a bunch of shit starts coming at you and then you go.
That's the most Destiny shit I've seen.
Yeah. It's just like, you know, in Tarkov, you go to extract, like you try to be quiet, you try to just kind of like inconspicuously get to the point and get out so nobody kills you and stuff. And like this is, I guess, more like the Division Dark Zone where you have to like call in that helicopter and it rings an alarm for the entire game, so everybody knows you're doing it. And you know, interesting choice, I guess.
Turning Cog asks, will casuals even pay $40 for this? Absolutely. Yes. If they make it approachable enough, they will get that new audience they need. Absolutely they will. And I think that's really, really important. The thing that we have to see is if they index too heavily on casual, they're not going to retain that audience. They're not going to keep the core. So the only way you're going to find that out is by playing. If there's enough compelling reasons for a new player to play and a seasoned player to keep playing, they hit the sweet spot and it'll be nice. It'll be really good.
And they're inevitably thinking if they can get one person to buy it who really likes it and play it, then they will inevitably try to convince two of their friends to do it as well, because it's a 3-person squad game and you can play solo. I don't think you can play in duos. I think, and a lot of people have said you're going to want 3. So,
and coming back to the point that I was making about Bungie needing to capture a new audience, you guys are not wrong. $40 is a big ask. It's a really big ask. I think one of the things I agreed with SkillUp's take is this needs to be free in some capacity to really bring in that new audience, especially if there's MTX in it. There needs to be a little bit of like, get in here, check it out, play it for yourself. You're going to love it. And when they price it at $40, it tells me that they're not confident that players are going to stick around. And it also tells me that their financials are so fucked that they have to charge that much. Otherwise, they're going to completely lose their ass. And that both of those things really, really concern me. And I hope it comes together in a way that the $40 price point is actually a good value proposition. I just don't know if it is. Got to play it myself. I don't think I'll ever pay $80 for a game. I'd rather just not play it. Yeah, dude, I strongly agree with that, Adder. I'm feeling the cost per game fatigue very heavily. There's so many games. I don't think it's justifiable. And, you know, I heard a take that like blaming inflation for it. That's bullshit, man. Scope your game appropriately, build your project in the right way that you can charge a reasonable amount for it. $60 was already a little bit too much. If you think about it as a hobby, there's so many good games that come out. If every single one is charging $60, I'm already filtering games based on like, I don't want to fucking spend that much money on it. I just don't. And that's not a good space to be in. I don't even remember paying $60 for a game recently. I mean, bright side, I've definitely bought some $70 games. I don't regret, but I don't feel great about paying that extra amount. It's just, it feels like I'm being taken advantage of, if I'm honest with you guys. It really does. And like, I just don't like that. And especially in a live service game with microtransactions and seasonal releases and battle passes, like, how much of my fucking money do you need for me to come play your game? Like, it's absurd. Personally, I just think it's absurd. So one of the things that we're doing at Fractal Grove is the games we make, we're not going to make live service games. We're going to make a game that's a box product with a distinct beginning and end. You will hopefully enjoy the experience and want to buy more of our games. We want to give you a good value for the game. So if we're talking about Hyperskate, we probably want to be under $40 for that. We don't know where it'll be. We have to do more business projections on how much, we need to price it and all of that. That's the right answer. We got to make sure that it's cheap enough to feel like a good value, but also enough for us to make money off of it so we can keep making other games. So like that's the honest part of how we would decide pricing for a game. And I think for a AAA to say that, value is subjective, dude, that's fucking not true, man. You have an army of business analysts looking at this shit. They're not optimizing for best value for the player. They're optimizing for the most amount of money that the studio can return so that they can all buy big boats and all this other bullshit. And that's the rot that's eating AAA. So we need to knock that shit off. I'm very unenthused about the marathon pricing model. I will say that. Turning Cog says, I spent $60 on Schedule 1 and 3 people get to play for that money. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, dude. Good pricing model. That's good value. And there's hundreds of hours of gameplay in that multiplayer, and it's chill and fun and all that. I've not seen anything negative about it. I've probably been maybe one of the more negative people, but it's only because of the subject matter, like the, making illicit substances and addicting people and all that. I think is not necessarily a cool gameplay mechanic or theme, and that harms the industry as a whole. Opens up, conversations for like video games are corrupting the youth and all kinds of shit like that. We don't need that. We don't need to give, the politicians who don't understand this shit more ammo to regulate the art and make it worse. Especially for the remasters that they're pumping out. Yeah, dude, remasters. I'm not buying remasters for full price. That's fucked up. They're charging full price for games that are essentially already made, 100% with 4K textures. Yes, and that is a cash grab. It's always a cash grab.
Oh, and they used AI to make those 4K textures.
It should be illegal. Okay, Adder. Since you said that, I want to bring this up. I saw something that there's a European and EU consumer protection group that is saying it's not okay to have. So if you think about games with microtransactions like V-Bucks, for example, let's just use Fortnite. V-Bucks don't have a real world conversion rate that's fully intentional. Younger audience doesn't understand the relationship between fake money and real money, and it's exploitative and predatory of the player base. So the Consumer Protection Agency in the EU is saying you can't do that anymore. You have to list actual real money values. And there's been a consortium of game developers that are like, well, this means that you're limiting audiences and people aren't going to be able to enjoy these games because we can't do it. That's fucking bullshit. They can do it. They're choosing not to, and they're trying to make as much money as possible. And they're just not saying that. And I think it's very disingenuous. I don't like it. That's why we're doing this. We think that we can do it a different way. There are plenty of successful indie games that have proven that. Yeah, this is exactly the thing that I'm talking about. Crackdown on Call of Duty. They're forcing them to list real currency prices. So it's currently in legislature right now, and they're trying to figure out how to pass these laws and how to regulate it and all that. So I think that's a good thing. That's healthy for the industry. It's healthy for us as gamers. It's never going to happen in the United States because that doesn't matter as much to us. But I think this sets a really good precedent because the EU market is like the second biggest market. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
So it's like that also can't make you over purchase currency. So like if you need 2,800 and you can only buy 3,000, you have to be able to buy it in 1-to-1 increments.
Amazing. That's what we need.
Really good stuff.
Yeah,
and then hopefully it'll just make them go, we set up a Stripe. You can buy this thing with your credit card for $5. We don't need to do the premium currency bullshit anymore.
Yep. I'm very much against this practice, and I wasn't for a while, And I got it, and I understood like there's a right way to do it, but I was always kind of like, I was pretty vocal, at least internally in game studios, about like, hey, we shouldn't do this. And I've worked on plenty of games that were predatory in this way, but that's not the shit that I do. It's not like, my focus is making game fun, and that's always where I've been. It makes me the most happy. So hopefully we don't lose our ass at Fractal Grove, but you know, we believe in you guys. You guys believe in us. That's a positive relationship. I want to keep that going. That we're trying to do it differently. Let's see. Blows my mind that Overwatch is bringing back loot boxes. Yeah, dude. They're going to keep doing it, man. They're going to do this shit until people tell them to stop. And it's because people buy it. And the people that buy it don't understand. They're kids. They're using their parents' credit card, and that's the way it works. It's bullshit. Patty's pub dollars aren't worth any USD. I mean, I don't think they are, dude. And I'm pretty sure Dennis knew that when he pitched that whole idea to the gang. Overwatch 2 was the stupidest shit a AAA studio has pulled in a long time. Yep. I think loot boxes are extremely problematic. And if you think about it, it's a very simple answer. Gambling mechanics make a lot of money. Putting them in a video game is like quadruple dipping. They're getting so much money per user that these greedy business people are like, why would we leave the money on the table? And I guess the point that I'm trying to make about this, I watched a video on YouTube about Arizona Tea. The dude that runs Arizona built that business from scratch. He refuses to charge more than $1 for a can of iced tea. The only thing he did was reduce the amount of iced tea by 1 fluid ounce. In order to keep the price down, they instead changed the shape of the can and reduced the amount of materials per can so that they can still sell it for $1. And
Pretty
when
sure he'll like take your distribution abilities away if he catches you selling them for more.
Well, he can't necessarily do that, but if you do go to a gas station or something and you buy an Arizona tea and it's more than $1, that gas station is ripping you off. They have cranked the price up and they're charging you overhead. So the MSRP is $1. So they're buying it for way less than that. And if they tack on another 50 cents, that's pure profit for
And that's
them.
why he prints it on the can, is to try to combat other businesses pricing it differently than that.
Anime, yes, you're not wrong. A lot of people enjoy gambling. I personally do not. It's never appealed to me. I've always felt bad gambling. I don't know why I'm immune.
I don't think
to
they're
it.
taking that away either. They're just saying your box is going to cost $5 instead of 500 magical CS:GO dollars.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's the only difference.
Well, EU does regulate loot boxes.
Oh, okay. Well, I think here it's just going to maybe mean that is what I just said. They might not even enforce it here, so it might just stay out how it is. But
Adder, I think the most egregious one about selling things to kids and like not having a real world conversion rate to currency is Roblox. The Roblox economy is fucked. There are people who make tons of content for Roblox that'd be worth, thousands or millions of dollars, and they cash out for like $1,000. That's it. They don't get anything from it, and the Roblox company makes a fuckload of money off of their UGC stuff and their whole economy ecosystem thing that they got going on with the Robux. It bothers me a lot. It's imported here in Australia, so it's still cheap, but more than $1 converted. Yeah, I feel that. I mean, the Arizona tea guy is worth like $6.5 billion. That's crazy. And, he was interviewed and they were like, why don't you just raise the price? And he goes, I don't need to. We don't have any debt. I own the factory. I own the distribution. It's just my way, I guess, of giving a little bit back. I think about the person who like maybe struggling to make their rent, and I don't want to make it so that they can't buy my drink because I raised the price 25 cents. He's like, I want to be able to still give them the drink for, $1. And I'm like, that's great. His answer was literally, I have enough money. I love this business. I want to keep it the way it is. Like, he refused to sell the business. It's very fucking cool. So capitalism is working for him. and he's doing it ethically, and so that gives me hope that we can do the same thing. There's plenty of ways to do it. You don't need to be greedy to succeed as a capitalist. Roblox is wild. Can't believe no one is talking about all that. I mean, I am, but like, no one else is, dude. No one's like decrying Roblox because I think it's like people go, that's for kids. I don't care about that shit. But they're not talking about how predatory it is for the kids.
Well, we could talk about how in the near future we're going to be betting on robot fights.
Yeah, totally. Do you want to show that? Is that what this is?
Yep.
All right,
So,
yeah, go for it.
This guy invented Live, which is a VR like streaming utility and stuff. And recently I've been seeing him post on Twitter for the past, 6 months or so that he bought a robot and he's been integrating it into VR basically so that he can control it one-to-one, kind of like that movie Real Steel. So he dropped a trailer for this today. It's called Wreck Robot Combat. I haven't watched this yet, but we're going to watch it together. I got to do it back here so that you can hear the sound.
I still maintain this dude's gonna get, unalived by his robot. Oh my god, it has knives on it, dude. What the fuck?
I'll play it one more time.
He's 100% on his Hugh Jackman arc. This is fucking crazy.
Yeah, so let me get this back over here. He elaborates on it a little bit down here. So they're going to make a VR game that I guess simulates what we were just seeing, has the same movement mechanics as the real fights. The top players will qualify for real matches. The fights will start in 2025. I've seen him like post things like somebody was like, why are you doing robots? Why don't you do like something else? And he's like, because I want them to be able to like tear each other's limbs off and like impale each other and like go all the way to the death, and humans wouldn't be able to do it or something. But I'll just show you like some of the stuff he's been posting is like this is the actual robot that he bought, and he has got it hooked up to a Quest and like a treadmill and stuff so that it does one-to-one all of his movements. Where's the like ones with the UI and stuff? Yeah, he has a whole UI built here. This is what he sees in VR now. This shows kind of like an approximation of the robot. You can see what the robot sees. And then, yeah, when he grabs these spheres, now he's in control.
He's just gonna punch himself with the robot.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, robot Hunger Games, dude, for sure. Adder says, as a consumer, I love Costco. My cousin is exec for Sasquatch, and I hear insane stories about how Costco will bankrupt companies over every letter in their contracts. Yeah, dude. So Costco also goated. If you guys are unaware, Costco literally loses money on their hot dogs, but they believe in the value it brings to their customers, so they continue to do it. It's like you can be an ethical capitalist. It's real. You could do it. There's so many success stories. So I think like the crazy shit is in games there are none, and we need that. Like we fucking need that. So same with the rotisserie chicken. Yeah, dude.
I liked we got Real Steel IRL before GTA 6.
Yup. Chat is undefeated.
Yep.
You guys are great.
So he's talking about how apparently this thing is just like pretty much when it showed up is like a Linux server with a bunch of motors attached to it, and you have to just like completely do everything yourself to make it work. And he has gotten all the way to the point where totally integrated into his VR setup.
Adder says that he is Costco maxing by eating a whole ass rotisserie chicken in the parking lot. Yeah, dude. Everything I said is the most American thing you've ever heard. I mean, dude, I'm very American. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I do love this country. I think it's great. So, yeah, but a big part of that is that I come from a military family, so I've got a little bit of a different perspective. It does make me really sad how many people I know that just like hate this country now, and Enough politics, but yeah, I think we've got some work to do. I mean, it's not, it's an ongoing process. Maintenance is required. We need to understand our rights. We need to do things to maintain it. Otherwise it decays and everything collapses and it's shit. So let's do the thing. Let's be better. We can be better. Yeah, we can do it. Yo, Artificial Sky. America is goated for real, no cap. Yes. Best part of Costco is they sell ready-to-eat chicken and hand wipes. Yeah, dude. That's very American for sure. Let's see. What else did I miss? Oh, Morango, Fortnite UGC is almost as bad as Roblox, but does not have direct purchase. I totally agree. Totally agree. Making stuff in fuck, dude, it's eluding me. What's the Fortnite?
UEFN.
UEFN, yeah. Making stuff in UEFN greatly benefits Epic. You can do stuff. I know people in the industry who have started studios that are exclusively making UEFN stuff. They're successful. They're making money. I think that's being too niche. Like if that ever collapses, they're fucked. Like what are they going to do after that? They have to pivot their whole business model. So I don't know. I think that's weird. I don't want to participate in those closed ecosystems. Turning Cog says, Adder, you really wiping your hands? If you lick them clean, that's at least a couple hundo extra calories. I mean, true. You got to get those essential fats. Yeah, I feel you, Artificial Sky. I just don't want to read that out loud. Even though I already said some, United States glazing shit already.
I just like my steering wheel. Nice.
Wait, who's licking their steering wheel? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, he likes his steering wheel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Adder car guy. He's not trying to get chicken all over his car. I feel that. Bro, Adder, everyone's bullying you for wasting your calories by wiping your hands. Guys, he's right. You should wipe your hands. Y'all are crazy as fuck. Lipids retain, pathogens. That's what soap does. It just removes the fat from your hands. And that collects all of, the stuff that gets you sick. So, chill, guys. Wash your hands. Clean your hands. It's okay. It's good. Lick first, then wipe. I think he was saying he does that. I believe Adder is getting his chicken enjoyment optimized, and he knows what he's doing. He also cares about his car. Bathroom optional. Chicken in the car mandatory. Yo, dude. Car chicken is really good, I gotta say. Tom McGee, is that a very American thing to say? Car chicken? The car chicken hits sometimes? Yeah, you guys know. You guys are fucking with car chicken. Let's go. Bathroom chicken is fire? No, dude. No. You should not be eating in the bathroom. I will say there's an exception. Shower beer. Shower beer is high tier. I'm in pain right now, bro. Well, I love that we're
getting tick damage.
I like that you're hanging out with a bunch of ridiculous Americans. Thank you for being here, Tom. Shower beer is top shelf. Adder fucking knows, dude. Yes, it is. Anime knows too. Shower beer rocks. Wait, Tom McGee, is shower beer an Aussie thing too? You get a Foster's oil can? I'm fucking around. I know you guys don't just drink Foster's. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? You've never hopped in a really hot shower with an ice cold beer? Post lake day, sunburn to a crisp, shower beer hits. Yes, dude. Or
don't say Foster's to me ever again.
I was fucking kidding. I know how offensive that is. I promise you, I was totally kidding, Tom McGee. I know that Aussies take it really well. You guys feel free to dish it out, man. I'll take it. You can talk shit. It's cool. I raised your shower beer with shower milkshake. Nah, I mean, Artificial Sky, I know you don't drink, but you don't know, bro. You don't know. Shower beer hits. Especially after, if you've been in the garage for 12 hours, you're doing, physical labor, you're sweaty, you're You're tired. You take that nice, relaxing hot shower, get that ice cold shower beer. Dude, it's perfect. Look up VB long neck in the morning. Okay, so that's the Aussie thing. Beer for breakfast. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Beer for breakfast is also great. I'm with that. Artificial Sky, you can't really dip fries in a shower milkshake. All right, you got Turning Cog with the shower milkshake, but he's poking some holes in your idea here. You guys are great. I love it. I love you guys.
So what do you think we're gonna do tomorrow?
Blueprints.
You want to do blueprints?
Yeah, I think we should do blueprints.
Unless anybody in chat, you got a game you think we should play? You want to see? The ones that I had that are not blueprints that people have mentioned to us recently. One is Void Breaker, which is like a playtest right now. That's that. I think it's an FPS Returnal type thing. We could do Zomboid.
We've got some suggestions. Lunacid.
So we got Lunacid.
Original
is free.
Marathon.
Play Original Marathon. Yeah. Can we do
Tom McGee, I'm worried if I play Original Marathon,
like VR a thing, maybe?
I'm going to be too much of a hater if I play Marathon. It's a very old game and it didn't hit right for me. So I don't think that I would have positive things to say, to be honest. I was more of a Doom guy anyway. So I just want to avoid it in that regard because I don't want to say things that like piss you off or hurt your feelings, you know, because I know that it matters a lot to you. So I'm just being real. I would say that I don't think that's for me. Derail Valley is VR and also flat compatible.
Derail Valley.
Turning Cog sounds like you aren't trying hard enough. Shower cheeseburger combo would hit. I could see that. You get
VR mod for OG Marathon. I could potentially be into trying that.
Oh yeah, Brightside. Okay, so OG Marathon was an id style shooter like Doom or Wolfenstein, but it was on Apple. So that's like where Bungie kind of got their start. Marathon it actually put the studio into a very dangerous position because they didn't sell very many units of it, and that was how they got a deal to save the studio with Microsoft, and they made Halo. So that's how Halo came about. OG Marathon and extraction shooter. No, it's like Doom, very much like Doom.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Turning Cog. People don't game on a Mac, and that was their problem. They made the best game on Mac, arguably, but there's no audience there. Adder says it's a spicier version of OG Doom. You think it's actually harder? So they decided to repeat that? Not necessarily. So like New Marathon is inspired by the Marathon game universe, but it's not fully connected. They're trying to figure out how to connect that and make it make sense in the deep lore.
The floating like ship thing over the planet is from the original games, I'm pretty sure. And then like it's just like the dystopian future and like the synth people and stuff, like all of that's in the original game, but my understanding is that it kind of ends there.
I think the cool thing about Marathon when you play it is you see the Halo, you see the Marathon DNA in Halo rather. So like there are enemies that look very much like Sangheili elites. Those are in Marathon, which is pretty neat.
I was reading that like the Mida multi-tool is a gun from Marathon that got put into Destiny. So there's like little callbacks and stuff like that.
Yep. Marathon DNA has been in every game that Bungie's made. Every single one. Even like Halo 3 Forerunner logs and stuff like that were very Marathon inspired. So it's cool that they're like sort of rebooting the franchise and coming up with a new thing because it's not a remaster. What they're doing is making a new game, and I love that. I think we need more of that, especially if you're, you got these successful IPs that you're trying to lean on. I think that's the right way. Straight up remaster with new textures, nah, that ain't it.
Oh, anime, that game was
Oni.
Pretty fun. It was a pretty good game.
I have mixed feelings on Oni. I really tried to enjoy it, but at the time, I think I was just not in the right headspace. I was much younger as a gamer, so
I
was like,
remember
what is
playing
this?
it initially and like kind of feeling like it was pretty mid and I didn't really understand it. And then it was like one of those games that like I went back to, and after I like figured out the mechanics and engaged with it, like it got
Yeah.
very cool by the end, I remember.
I was
And,
totally playing it wrong, admittedly.
Yeah, it was a good one for sure. I think there might be a PC version of that. But I want to say I got that and like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 when I got my PS2. It was like one of the first PS2 games I ever had.
Yeah, Adder, I honestly, like, I blame myself for not vibing with Oni when it came out. It's just, I was not, you know, I had a very narrow view of games and games that I wanted to play. I was looking for very specific vibes, and Oni just wasn't it for me. I also was like kind of not really into the stealth gameplay type of a thing until I think Chaos Theory and Pandora Tomorrow. That was when I was like, I get it now. This is fucking cool. And Oni was old at that point. So if I had found Oni with that mindset, I probably would have loved it a lot more. Oni was big inspo for StarCraft Ghost. Yep, I agree with that. Yeah, Turning Cog, the marketing for Oni was compelling. Bungie's marketing back in the day was so fucking good, man. And I really hope they're coming back to form with Marathon, because they did that ARG. They're doing a lot of really cool stuff that they used to do. I just hope that they fucking keep going, man. There's too much like big business involved in Bungie right now, and I hope they can find their way. Like, I really do. It makes me really sad. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, the Halo 2 making of DVD, the Vidoc series that came with it in the collector's edition was massively inspiring to me, and the reason why I wanted to get into games in the first place. So, you know, I don't like seeing, they say never meet your heroes, right? I don't like seeing this like crash out and this fall from grace, all the negative stuff that happened with Destiny. So I'm hoping they can reset. Still really skeptical, but I'm hoping. I have a lot of hope. I just want to see it. I want to see it come back.
I'm still looking for Oni, and I don't know if you can buy it anywhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's like relegated to that console release, and that's it. And then
I was just reading, I had forgotten about this, but developed by Bungie for the PC and Mac, and then published by Rockstar on the PS2.
Yep.
I had completely forgotten that was how it worked. But and then supposedly there's an anniversary edition that came out sometime in the 2010s that is better. I just can't find anywhere to buy it.
Bright side, yeah. Bungie's future is very much hanging on Marathon success. If Marathon is successful, Bungie will continue. If it is not successful, I would not be shocked if they shut the doors and fire everybody. I think it's really that serious, and that sucks. The metal case for Halo 2. Yeah, Simple Sins. I've got it over here on my shelf. 100%.
I got it next to the metal tin with the Halo 1 and Halo 2 Master Chiefs in it, upstairs somewhere.
The Steelbook case. Yep.
Yeah, and then there was like this action figure set you could buy that came in this metal tin, and it was like Halo 1 Master Chief armor and Halo 2 Master Chief armor.
Yeah, Brightside, 100% could be the swan song, and it makes me sad. You know, I hope, that's why I'm just like, don't be sad. We don't know yet. Give it a chance. Check it out. That's why I'm excited to play the alpha. That's why I'm excited to talk to people working on it. You know, I want to go through all that stuff and learn as much as I can, decide for myself. Obviously, I'm going to continue being honest with you guys and telling you my real thoughts about it. When Concord came out, I was supportive of Concord for sure. I recognize that all of the complaints about Concord and the failure of Concord are valid, 100%. I know Tom McGee is like really... bad part for me was finding out about Oni via the key artist doing an interview right after she was part of the first wave of layoffs. She teared up about it in the interview. She designed the Halo logo. Lorraine, yep. Lorraine was an amazing person, dude. She was one of the coolest fucking people there. She genuinely cared about everything, and it's really sad that they let her go. To be fair, if you're looking at it strictly from a business standpoint and Bungie was in not good shape, you can't keep someone like Lorraine around because she was kind of resting on her tenure. She was not making a lot of really big impact at the studio, at least when I was there. And that's not to say because she was bad at anything, but because she had like a special position. She was like one of the goated old school Halo people, been there forever. I'm sure she was making a lot of money. I don't think she left under negative circumstances for her financially. I'm sure she got out with like a good deal, but she's not there anymore. And that when I talk about it, that's where you see like the soul of old Bungie is different. It's not there anymore. And I really hope people like Lars and they can help shape the new school into that old soul again of Bungie and bring them back. I don't know. There could be too many business people fucking it up. And I just really hope they're not. Crystal Dynamics just gutted the tenured devs as well. Dude, this is the thing. You hear people in the industry and, content creators and stuff talk about how it's the people that make the games. 1,000,000% it's the people that make the games. When I got into Bungie, it was really sad to know that most of the core people that defined who Bungie was and like the stuff they make were already gone. There was probably a third of the studio that was old Bungie, and they weren't necessarily the right people to keep. They were... It's politics, man. Yeah, her and Salvatore leaving was really worrying. Yeah, dude. Salvatore. Okay, so... people want to talk about how Marty is goated. My experience inside is that Salvatore was goated and Marty was just kind of a manager guy. Yes, he absolutely did music stuff, but Salvatore was like the real music guy. I don't know if that was Bungie just being anti-Marty, but that's what I heard on the inside was like Salvatore is actually the guy. Like Marty was an egomaniac and super crazy. Yeah. He's a weirdo. I agree. I think when you make a decision to do a very weird song with Paul McCartney, you're fucking up, and it has nothing to do with the game. It's more service to your own ego as a creator, and that's a big fucking mistake. I hope Marty doesn't come for me. I'm not trying to start shit with Marty. I never worked with him directly. He was out of the studio when I got there. But I know that there was a lot of bad blood, and Marty knows that too. So people did not speak favorably about him, and no one liked him. And I mean just on a personal level. He looked so cool with the little ghost hologram. No, he didn't, dude. Stop it. I don't even remember the song. I don't want to remember the song. My brain is like trying to summon what that stupid fucking song was, and I really don't want it in my head. So, yeah. That shit was strange. I fucking hated it. As a Bungie fan, I saw that and I was like, what is this trash? But admittedly, I'm just going to say this on the internet. I'm not a Beatles fan. I recognize the Beatles are important to music. I do not fuck with the Beatles music. God damn it, Tom. Yes, it is hope for the future. There was no hope for the future with that decision, man. That's really brave. Oh, man. No, Simple Sins. We're not watching Hope for the Future. That shit is sad. We're trying to be optimistic here. We're trying to be positive about the future of Bungie. We're not going to go back and look at these fucking colossal mistakes and waste some money. There are plenty. There's plenty in Bungie's history. Like, if you look at the things that, like, Pete Parsons said and done, not good. An important thing to consider there is Harold Ryan was the business visionary that made Bungie into where they were at the pinnacle. And Pete Parsons worked for Microsoft, then worked for Bungie, became the CEO, and you saw a huge decline in Bungie. That's when all the scandals started happening. That's when monetization strategies were getting out of fucking control. That's when the Sony acquisition happened. So, yeah. We Can Beavis and Butthead, the music video. Nah, man. You guys are wild. I don't want to do that. Hope for the Future is trash. I'm sorry. It is bad. It didn't fit. It didn't make any sense.
So we'll get assassinated for playing a Paul McCartney song on stream.
That's true too. Yes. I like that they had a bit of a laugh in Forsaken by making it play in the Tangled Shore Club last sector. Yes, dude. So Tom, the funny part about that is I worked directly with the guy that made all the Lost sectors, and I remember that conversation. And he's like, "We kind of want to get Hope for the Future play," and I was like, "Fucking do it, dude. That's a great idea. That'd be hilarious." Yeah, his name was Alex. I don't think he's there anymore either. Yes, it is Adder. It's literally awful. That shit is so bad. And you think about the costs involved, millions of dollars for that. Like, that's the reason Marty got pushed out. Like, he was already problematic, and then he was like, no, I got fucking purse strings. I'm going to spend money. I'm going to do this because I'm in a leadership role. And people were like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Artificial Sky says so. Sty Martin. Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to talk about what you thought of Metal Eden real quick? Since I played that last night.
Yeah, I think it'd be better if you shared your thoughts, and then I can kind of like, because I didn't play it, I just watched you play.
Yep. I'll just put the trailer up for this, but this is a UE5 game. They have a demo out on Steam right now. Pretty lengthy demo. It has like 3 levels, multiple like full cutscenes, and the visuals are pretty insane. Very, very highly stylized, but executed really well. That's some Death Stranding robot space whale type shit, and I don't know. It was kind of fun to play. Very like Doom meets. People say Ghost Runner. I haven't really played Ghost Runner, but it was clearly a game where they focused on the visuals probably more than the actual game. So yeah, I will say that it's pretty fun to play, but I didn't get a ton of depth from it, and it's very linear and very like, I don't know. They have wall running and grinding and all of this stuff, but it's very like, the grinding is a loading screen, and the wall running only happens in very specific controlled areas that kind of like light up and say, hey, you should wall run here. And I don't know, I was hoping for something a little different, but I do have to say, very, very, very good looking game.
The writing in the English VO, so this is made by a Polish studio. Writing in English VO was not good. It was pretty bad, honestly. So you could say that some things are lost in translation. I'll give them the benefit of that since they're not like native English speaking studio. But I don't know. Similar to Sprawl, did they have a demo of this at one point? Yeah.
There's a demo out right now.
Yeah. That's what Tony was playing yesterday that we were checking out.
It's a pretty lengthy demo. Like you will definitely know if you want to play this game if you play the demo. You get through, like, I got about an hour out of it, and I wasn't going too slow.
Anime, are you still around? Did you play Ghost Runner? I feel like you did. What was the game that you played?
Think the comparison to Ghost Runner here is pretty accurate. I haven't played a lot of it, but I've played a little bit of it, and it really is kind of like these like broken up areas where you kind of do some crazy like movement mechanic between them, but it's very linear, and I don't know.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on Ghost Runner, Anime? I feel like you played a lot of that, and I feel like I watched you. You might have even played it on your stream at one point. I don't remember. I do love a good demo. I'm putting hours into Forever Winter demo lately. Speaking of extraction shooters, so I've thought Forever Winter looked interesting, but I don't know if I want to play Forever Winter. I don't know, man.
PvE only, right?
What's that?
It's PvE only, right?
I think so. It's the one with the robots and shit.
Yep.
It's like kind of steampunk robot Terminator type deals.
I watched some like I played 5 Tarkov clones, so you don't have to type video yesterday, and I want to say that was one of the ones that was on there.
Was it ramen style? The channel?
Ramen style. Yep.
I really like ramen style. He's a very wholesome
so I'm glad that you've seen his channel before, but The only one that he played that I thought looked kind of interesting was Arena Breakout Infinite, but that's just because it basically looks like Tarkov.
Yeah, totally. What I like about Ramen Style is that he tells a story in everything. He's not just putting up, like, he narrates his own gameplay. And he's like, so here's what I was thinking in this moment. And I'm like, dude, this is fucking good content. He also does
the edits that he had in these games he was playing, like, they were hype as shit. Like, he had some very tense situations happening and he handled them very well. So
I also like that he doesn't rage. Anytime he loses, he goes, ah, shoot, chat. GG, we go again. And I'm like, this guy's positivity is overwhelming. It's fantastic.
Yep.
So yeah, if you guys are into extraction shooter gameplay, check out Ramen Style on YouTube. I mean, not that we need to gas him up. He's more successful than us, but no, he's a good dude. Did they wiggle the cam to show it's pre-rendered? I don't know.
This is just, I'm pretty sure this is just like a streamer or somebody playing this. So I think they were probably reacting to the voice. There's like an AI in the game that's like talking to you in your head and like compelling you to do things and trying to get you to like go to this elevator thing. It seemed like maybe he was shaking his head no to something that it was saying to him.
Tommy Gee says, I'm a fan of one of the key artists. It's a great game, unbelievable atmospheric, and the loop is addictive. I just think the AI is way too dumb. That's what I saw too.
I think I saw that as well. Yeah, they just said it was like easy mode because the AI didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I was watching Forever Winter gameplay, and like a dude was like at a corner, and he was just camping that corner as like waves of enemies just walked up in a single file line, didn't even shoot at him, and he was just blowing their heads off. And I'm like, this makes me not want to play. And like the players were optimizing for that to exploit the AI's weaknesses, and I'm like, if you can do that, that's not fun. At least for me.
If you watch this gameplay here, right? So he did this fight. Now he's gonna jump over this platform, but like from this point forward, like nothing exciting is happening here. He does this like cool loading animation, I guess, but then it turns on this rail thing, and then he rides this rail. This is a loading screen now. We're moving into a new area with new enemies and new things that need to happen that is far enough away from this old one that you can't see it, and they're able to unload the old stuff while you're going through this tube, and then they're going to load the new stuff in. But this is just, there's no point in having this. This is like kind of a waste of time to some extent. It just, you could argue it's for like vibes and atmosphere and stuff, but it doesn't, I don't know, you can never do like the riding around the rail thing while you're in a combat arena or like make any decisions about it or anything. It's just kind of like a wait till you get to the next area thing. It's kind of sad.
Tommy Gee's making an interesting point that I want to talk about for Forever Winter. A rare enemy type called Corpse Tank should be fucking terrifying. In reality, it's one explosive at range away from dropping its loot. So, okay, if we go back to Marathon, I've heard only positive things about the AI in Marathon, and I think that's probably going to be the thing that sets it apart. So I really want to try it. I want to check it out. I want to see how good the PvE component is, because that might be the thing. It might be really, really good PvE. For as much as I love playing Tarkov, the AI is bad. And that's one of the reasons why I like playing PvE instead of PvP, especially because I have a lot of friends that will play PvE with me over PvP. But like, the AI is just really bad in Tarkov. And
it's still better than like most games though.
Kinda. I think it's the time to kill that makes them better, because they just waste you really quickly. So they're always
the most basic enemy is just as much of a threat as any other.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes it compelling. But if there was a longer time to kill and you could like react to shots and getting shot, it would be pretty bad. And I think most people play Tarkov anyway for the PvP components and the loot. I know loot is a highly compelling thing because it's, you know, it gives you that same gambling feel. You're like, I got a big win. It'll be interesting to see how Bungie's goated enemy AI appears in dedicated server environment. Yes, dude. Yes. That's what I want to see. I will say that having worked on Destiny, the tools that I was given as an encounter designer with AI were incredibly good. And there were a lot of designers that just threw combatants into a space, didn't do anything interesting with them, and it became soupy. So that's why you see in missions like 0 Hour and the Whisper, the combat actually has some nuance to it. It's not as developed as I would have liked to have made it, because I just didn't have time and I didn't have resources. I was the only designer working on those. So I did my best, but I still think that like that's I think the weakest part is there was more I could have done with the combatants, more environmental storytelling. I know given more time and resources, I could have made that shit way better. So that being said, when you play like an open world quest or a public event in Destiny, you'll notice the combatants look really stupid. And that's because of the designers who built that shit. It's not because Bungie didn't have the ability to make them interesting. Battleground strikes are just, oops, all ads. Yep. That's bad design. It's people saying the only way to get players to not be super good is to just throw more enemies at them, and it just becomes this soup. And when I say that, that was stuff that I learned from the OG Halo designers that were still at Bungie when I got there. I basically learned everything I possibly could from those dudes while I could. And I sought them out, asked for their feedback directly on everything I made. I brought them in to my playtests, personally invited them. I asked them as many questions as I could, and I learned so many invaluable lessons from them.
This is definitely the coolest part of this demo right here. This giant structure moving across the city.
Yeah, Marengo, if the AI is good enough, it can be used to simulate players and fill lobbies faster. 100%. And I think if the focus is more on really difficult PvE stuff with your squad, and then, oh shit, now there's players here, that is possibly a really winning formula. Because Tarkov is all about seeking out the other players and then cleaning the map up and vacuuming up all the loot and getting out. So I think Marathon might play in a very different way. It'll have a different feel. This is my assumption. I don't know this yet. I haven't played it, but when I play it, I will absolutely let you guys know my thoughts.
All right, well, should we
yeah,
wrap it up here?
Yeah, I think we're good. Let's wrap it up. We will see you guys tomorrow with I still think we should play Blueprints. I know you guys aren't necessarily feeling it all that much, but let's just do Blueprints because it's new. It just came out. I know very little about it. I think it'll be interesting to check out. But next week we can definitely play one of the games you guys were suggesting. The only thing I can think of is the car right now, Lucid Air, but what was the fucking shit that anime was saying?
Let's do Ani.
Lucario, Lucid Air, some shit like that. I don't fucking know. But yeah, we'll check that out. You said it was free, so we'll check it out next week for sure. We can put it on the docket, and then I guess we could look at Marathon, Tony. I've played it, so if you haven't played it, it'd be cool for you to experience it for the first time. Pretty sure that's on Steam, yeah.
I'll look into it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's it for us. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. Thank you for the new follows. Thank you for the new subs. You guys are fucking awesome, and you're giving us the energy to keep going and keep working on it and put Hyperskate out there. So yeah, you guys are wonderful. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We're gonna be checking out Blueprints, talking about it from a game designer's perspective.
Yeah, everybody, trees in chat for Anna and for LFQ real quick for all the gifted subs and the hype train earlier. They are the goats.
Yes. Artificial Sky Hero goat too. But those three in chat are the biggest contributors. Anime did also gift a sub, so I forgot. We didn't celebrate that. So thank you, Anime. He said, I am poor, but here's the hype train. So thank you, Anime.
Oh,
yeah, get those trees out there, guys.
All the trees.
Anna, it's always great to see you. I know you can't stop in as much because you're very busy with real life things, but we love seeing you. Omni, same thing. Omni, don't be a stranger. Hit me up off stream, whatever. Yeah, everybody that came through today. Thank you guys so much. We will see you tomorrow. Big love. I think that's all I got. Yeah. Bye-bye.